like to call to order the Joint Railroad Committee. And we'll begin by hearing any public comments, if there are any.
Good morning.
Hey, Mac.
Good morning.
What's going on?
Good morning. We have 10 members of the public registered to speak today. As a reminder, we will ask that all public speakers adhere to the MTA's rules of conduct and decorum. I would also like to remind our public speakers that in the interest of time and fairness to all our speakers, we limit everyone to 2 minutes. Please be aware that there will be a warning beep to remind you that you have 30 seconds to conclude your remarks. The first speaker will be Christopher Greif, followed by Jason Anthony.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Christopher D. Greif. As an advocate for over 30 years, there is something I'd like to make very clear that we need to work on the Metro North end. For example, Metro North Cares does an excellent job. In Grand Central, it is not easy for them, especially when Amtrak was suspended. They were extremely busy, so we do need to make sure. I did put that in the app, but I'd like to know we can please get a response on that. The other concern I have for Metro North Cares is a concern and safety. They should be carrying walkie-talkies. Yes, I know they're in Grand Central, but once you head upstate New York or Connecticut, they don't have walkie-talkies. Thank God they have a cell phone, but some areas called dead zones, their cell might not go through. If Long Island Railroad Cares have them, why can't Metro North Cares have them in the upstate area? It will be much easier and quicker response because, God forbid, if they're on an elevator and the elevator signal on the phone or something goes out, they need to have a backup safety way. So we can please work on that as well. And the emergency special buttons if to alert the crew that there isn't a person with a disability or a senior that needs assistance, what area they're in the platform. I see them on the railroad, but I like to see them also on the Metro North areas as well, and to get more updates on this, because everyone in the community of people with disabilities and seniors have been asking this, and we need to continue working on this. Thank you.
The next speaker is Jason Anthony, followed by Iris Kelly.
Good morning, Sam. Good morning, Rob. And good morning, Kathy, and the rest of the Long Island Community Rail meeting. Following up what my colleague Christopher Greif mentioned, we need more presence of Metro North Cares, and especially we shall apply in both commuter rails an announcement saying if the station is accessible or not, like our counterparts in the subway has it. Regarding the service cross-honoring, we should have either Metro North Cares or LIRR Cares at each station when cross-honoring is in effect. Because I was at Flushing Main Street and at Woodside, and I saw 0 LIRR personnel. So there should be a coordination between New York City Transit and the commuter rails when cross-honoring is in effect. Here's why. For example, I rode the Port Washington branch from Flushing Main Street to Woodside. I showed my Metro card, but the conductor wasn't aware about this. We need to improve communication between agencies for future events like this, especially during the holidays. So with that, I'll yield the rest of my time. Happy holidays.
The next speaker is Iris Kelly, followed by Murray Bolden.
Hello. My situation here with the railroad is that when they made the changes from Grand Central came in, they took away a lot of important things for Brooklyn, which I don't think is right. I mean, what was wrong with track 3? everything was fine. Everything had added new trains, extra trains there. They had added. We always had stability coming from Brooklyn to Long Island. Our own trains we had. Then on top of that, the kiosk machine. They had the digital screen. You had between 6 and 7 and 11, 12. They both had the digital time frame, the time slots. That was great. But then everything changed over afterwards. You took it away and put advertisement, which you really don't need two of them to have that. And then the transfer points for us. It used to be easy going across the platform tracks 2 and 3. But now, no, you have to go up 11, 12, which don't make sense to us for Brooklyn people. That is good for Grand Central people going from the plane to the train and vice versa. Not what you did today. And you need to change all this back to the way we had it when it was very good, excellent service. Because it was perfect before, you had everything good. But then Grand Central comes in, you pull away every good thing that you did. Thank you.
The next speaker is Mary Bolden, followed by Michael Cohen.
Kathy, it's a crazy world. Vince, can you move your head back? Kathy, it's a crazy world we live in. What the driver sees needs to be consistent everywhere. In the past, there were separate rules for crossings of a railroad, and today it has to be the same everywhere. Don't block the box. Drivers are distracted, doing everything. Now, Virginia Road has the box across the railroad tracks, but Roaring Brook doesn't. So you may have to change some rules, regulations, or whatever it is, but recognize distracted drivers are stupid. You know, the light turns green and nobody goes because they're checking their mail. So you're going to have to create the connections so that what the driver sees is the same, don't block the box. That's all over the place. They're using it everywhere. The other thing is, Sammy, as far as I determine, this is 2 committees. This is not one committee. So my second set of 2 minutes goes to Rob and the discussion of what goes on in Long Island. You've got a half a dozen crossings there, especially in East Hampton, where the whistle's blown from the train. But since you already have the electronics that say the lights are flashing, those electronics can also say, we blow a horn or a sound at the crossing and not from the train. Noise pollution, times change. It's going to take some regulations to change. Washington already knows that I've said you cannot use the manual and the uniform traffic control devices because it was written 50 years ago for an age that doesn't exist anymore.
Thank you for your remarks.
I'm not through.
We limit everyone to 2 minutes.
You make your rules when you put on your site that this is 2 separate committees, 1 committee, I will follow that rule. But as long as
Thank you for your remarks. The next speaker will be Michael Cohen, followed by Andy Polik. Thank you for your remarks.
We hear you every month for 20 years. Come on, we got
Mi-
it. We got it.
They're wrong. There are one set of rules. We all follow the same rules, or we all break them. We got people breaking
Mr. Bowden,
all kinds of places. I've said my piece.
thank you.
It's your job to correct me. I'm 90. I'm finished. I can't do it.
Thank-
Sandy, you can do it.
Thank you, Mr. Bowden.
Thank you for your remarks. The next speaker is Michael Cohen, followed by Andy Polik.
I've been using Omni for the last couple months, and I think that, like, when the Omni project started, there was an idea of putting it on Long Island Railroad and Metro North. I wonder why it isn't integrated yet with that, like, why you can't use Omni on the commuter rail. Because sometimes when you take the subway, you can use your credit card, debit card, whatever you have to pay for the fare. But when you take the commuter railroad, the Long Island Railroad, the Metro North, they don't take that. And it said it was going to be implemented like this year, the commuter rail, but it still isn't implemented on there. And they still don't have the technology yet for Omni. So I'm wondering, when will they get Omni readers or whatever else they need to do to add Omni to it, so that you can use Omni for all modes and you can use Omni to pay for all transit. And I think it'd be great to have a weekly cap on there as well, and to have both systems using the same fares so that you can go from one to the other, and have always the option of using this one fare for both, or for cross-honoring fares between both of them, so that you can use both systems with the same fare and pay the same fare for both within the city. And I think it's great to expand City Ticket as well, to cover weekdays as well as weekends, so that you can always use the lower rate when traveling in New York City.
Thank you for your remarks. The next speaker is Andy Pollack, followed by Ian Matthews.
Good morning, Andy Pollack for the record, Passengers United. So a couple of things that I want to address this month. Number one, it's been brought to our attention at Passengers United that currently on the schedule, we have a 6:22 departure from Hempstead in the morning, not stopping at Elmont, Queens Village, and Howard. Please readjust this train to make sure that it makes all the local stops in the morning. Also, with the new Fort Washington branch schedules that began on Monday, during the 7 a.m. hour, why is there no direct train service from the Auburndale station going to Grand Central Madison? Those trains in the 7 a.m. hour are only stopping at Penn Station. So that needs to be readjusted as well. And one brief Metro North point I want to make to Kathy Rinaldi. Kathy, why aren't there any seats in the Metro North dining concourse? Because I was there last Tuesday, and when I was trying to eat my pizza, there was no seats available. And also, do something about the men's room, because the toilets aren't flushing. All right? So that's pretty much all I'm going to say. Thank you for letting me speak, and I will speak at New York City Transit when I get to Lower Manhattan.
The next speaker is Ian Matthews, followed by Jenny Morrissey.
Good morning. I'm Ian Matthews. I'm here to speak about Metro North and Long Island Railroad issues. On Metro North, we're still having issues with short trains on the Harlem line. I witnessed that on Black Friday. And only hourly service during weekday midday hours. And the trains are much more crowded on the line. Both the 1222, the 122, and the 12 o'clock and 1 o'clock trains out of White Plains, all crowded. I recommend please have both the 2:25 p.m. 2:56 p.m. to both be increased to 8 cars. Both are very crowded. At 6 is not enough. Additionally, for the Long Island Railroad,
Ian, we're having a hard time hearing you. There's some static. Just want to let you know.
My connection's not great. Sorry.
If you'd like, we can come back to you.
12 card for the.
If you'd like, we can come back to you while you fix your audio. I'll come back to you at the end. Thank you. The next speaker is Jenny Morrissey, followed by Alita Dupree.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for allowing me to speak this morning. My name is Jenny Morrissey, and I'm a resident of Ronkonkoma, New York. My husband has been using the Long Island Railroad to commute to New York for almost 20 years. For the last 10, he's been using the Ronkonkoma line, and his quality of life, although a long commute, has been okay and acceptable until we hit COVID. He had to be in 5 days a week, and due to the fact that trains were modified and adjusted, there were no longer any direct trains from Ronkonkoma to the city or city to Ronkonkoma. We had hoped the opening of the Grand Central Station would improve timing, as it had been communicated that it would improve commuting times by roughly 30 minutes. Unfortunately, it's added time. The main issue we are finding with this commute now is the impact on his time home. The 5:39 train from Grand Central is taking 78 minutes to arrive in Ronkonkoma, with only 3 stops along the way. This means the average speed for the train is 38 miles per hour. Can you help explain why this is happening, and can it be improved? We're hoping to be able to find efficiencies here, and he loves the Long Island Railroad. He's there every day, he's there every night, and just looking for ways to improve efficiencies, because ultimately quality of life is what we all want, and we're hoping that you can help. Thank you very much for your time.
The next speaker is Alita Dupree, followed by Charlton D'Souza.
Thank you. Good morning, Chair, our co-chair, Sam and Blanca. Alita Dupree, for the record, she and her with Team Polls. I'm going to talk about the railroads today. I did see in our real estate, we're working on some leases for food vendors. They're good food vendors. I enjoy that. I did get to use the Grand Central dining course several times. On the lower level, I clarify for you, in Grand Central Terminal, it was good. So thank you for working on that. I reflect upon my time in New York and using railroads. They worked. I did use Atlantic Terminal in a pinch. The scheduling showed the half-hour frequency, so I had to wait for a train. I went over to Target and got some snacks, got on the train and went out to Jamaica. And, I went on to JFK airport area. And I think Grand Central Madison holds a lot of promise. I really enjoyed using that ecosystem and learning how to use the big escalators. But it worked. And Moynihan Hall is working. And I'm looking forward to more Omni and ADA work. The MyTix is fine. I used it a lot. I used it exclusively. We want to work on our Omni and add more elevators to the stations. We want to get to 100% ADA. Okay, I think my time is up. Thank you.
The next speaker is Charlton D'Souza, followed by Ian Matthews.
Good morning, everyone. Charlton D'Souza, President of Passengers United. So unfortunately, we are not happy with the LIRR schedules. We're getting a lot of complaints about trains bypassing stops, and in some cases, in other branches, people have to take 2 trains to get in the city. That is unacceptable. And the situation at Jamaica, where people have to go up the stairs and down, I cannot tell you how many people have tripped and fell down on those stairs just to get to the shuttle train. So you need more later trains, especially in the evening, coming back, going straight from Atlantic Terminal to Long Island, especially for the school teachers and the city employees who work. That has to be dealt with. And like my colleague indicated earlier, the situation with the Port Washington branch, I know you guys made some adjustments in the schedule, but there needs to be better adjustments made because Port Washington riders, they deserve that one-seat ride. Now, for a few seconds, I did want to say something to all of you, and that is Yuki Endo, who's been coming to the committee meetings and the board meetings. He will be going back to Japan tomorrow forever. And we at Passengers United, and I'm sure all the MTE board members and everyone at the MTE will miss Yuki Endo. I know we all will. Yuki was a friend to the Long Island Railroad. Yuki was everywhere. Yuki's been attending all the committee meetings, I think for the last maybe 15 years, 16 years, as long as I've been attending them. So on behalf of Passengers United and on behalf of all the Long Island Railroad riders, Yuki Endo, we're going to miss you at Passengers United. And I'm sure the MT is going to miss you as well. And that's pretty much it, guys. See you later.
The final speaker is Ian Matthews. Mr. Matthews, if you continue to have audio trouble, try turning off your video. That might help.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. Good morning. I'm sorry about the earlier issue. I'm trying on my iPad now. I'm here to speak about Metro North and the Long Island Railroad. On Metro North, we're having issues with short trains, resulting in people standing in the aisles, which I witnessed back on Black Friday, and still only hourly midday service on the Harlem and Hudson lines, resulting in overcrowding. I would recommend having the 2:25 p.m. and 2:56 p.m. Harlem line local trains out of Grand Central and North White Plains on weekdays to be increased to 8 cars. They're both very crowded, and 6 cars is not enough. Additionally, and the same issue for Long Island Railroad, the 12-car trains need to be used on busier trains, not emptier trains in rush hour, which I'm noticing a lot. And yeah, because a lot of 8 and 10-car trains are packed and have people standing in the aisles. I'm just going to end it here. Thank you.
Thank you for your remarks. Chair, that concludes the public comment session.
Thank you. Moving on, you will find the key performance metrics report in your board book. The minutes of the October joint committees meeting have been distributed to all members. Are there any corrections or omissions? Hearing none, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Max, second by Midori. All in favor? Aye. Okay. So moved. Rob, are there any changes to the work plan?
For Long Island Railroad, no changes to the work plan.
Kathy, any changes to the Metro North?
Yeah, there is one change to the Metro North work plan. We would otherwise have given an update on the strategic plan this month. We're deferring that till next year.
Thank you. And now we will hear our agency president's reports. Long Island Railroad is in the lead this month, so we'll first hear from President Free.
Thank you, Sammy. Good morning. Before I begin my report, I'd like to start by welcoming Construction and Development's Senior Vice President of Railroads, Anthony Tafano, who will attend this meeting regularly and be able to answer any questions we have that might be project related. So welcome, Anthony. Okay. Slide 1. All right. Customers are continuing to come back to the Long Island Railroad. October ridership continued to grow, and the 6 million customers we served gave us our highest monthly ridership total since the pandemic. Overall ridership was up 20% over last October and 8.3% over the previous month. Aside from our previous one-day post-COVID high of over 248,000 customers, which was broken again on Thanksgiving Eve with over 254,000 customers, we saw our highest Monday to Friday weekday average of over 234,000 customers, a week that also gave us our best post-COVID Friday. It also marked the first post-pandemic month in which we surpassed the 2,100 ridership mark on every weekday. Weekend and off-peak trips continue to grow as well. October marked the second month in a row whereby non-commutation ridership surpassed that of the same month in 2019, this time by besting it by 6.6%. In terms of reliability, we ended October with an above-goal on-time performance of 94.7%, a nearly 2% improvement over the previous month, and further proof that the strategic and methodical updates we have made to our schedules have stabilized service and improved the customer experience. As I previewed last month, our latest timetable change went into effect on November 13th, which included changes to morning peak Port Washington branch service. But as we've said before, the Long Island Railroad constantly scrutinizes the effectiveness of our schedules using real-time data and maintains an open and active dialogue with the communities we serve. Those discussions and our own internal analysis have led us to further tweaks along the branch. Beginning this week, we return the September Port Washington schedule with a couple of added stopping pattern enhancements. The Long Island Railroad was honored to participate in the Holiday Fair ribbon cutting on November 13 at Grand Central Terminal, which is another great reason to hop on a Long Island Railroad train to Grand Central. Kathy will provide all the details in her report, but I want to remind all Long Island Railroad customers that it's now a whole lot easier to get to this and all the other holiday events at and around Grand Central. With the introduction of Grand Central Madison service, we operate 137 trains into the terminal each weekday and 114 on an average weekend. And we hope our customers will take full advantage of this service all through the season and beyond. Boosting connectivity is another way we are enhancing the customer experience. Excuse me. And after successfully introducing Wi-Fi and cellular service at Atlantic Terminal and Jamaica Station, the tunnels between the two now have enhanced cellular service as well, so Brooklyn customers can stay connected as the train travels below ground. Designed, installed, and managed by Boingo Wireless, the expanded cellular service features 5G and LTE coverage, which is great for customers who rely on timely schedule information available on the Train Time app. This expanded cell service coverage is available for AT&T, T-Mobile, and Verizon customers. It also covers Grand Central Madison and its tunnels. This is complemented by free public Wi-Fi at Grand Central Madison and Penn Station. Next slide, please. Acting safely while reinforcing safe behaviors is a major part of our operation. And among the initiatives to be discussed on the Long Island Railroad Safety Report is our customer outreach conducted from November 13th through the 17th as part of Escalator Safety Week. That week, corporate safety, stations, and engineering employees distributed escalator safety flyers to customers at 7 high-volume Long Island Railroad stations, including for the first time Grand Central Madison. The flyers provided necessary reminders of escalator do's and don'ts, such as what doesn't belong on an escalator, like large luggage and strollers. Using good judgment keeps everyone safe. Along with our stations, we're also serious about customer and employee safety on board trains. And so, on Thanksgiving Eve, I rode several trains between Jamaica, Atlantic Terminal, and Penn Station, alongside MTA PD Chief John Muller and SMART Union Committeeman Brian Grant. The objective was to hear the concerns of crews and customers on board trains and at terminals, and also to strategize as to how best to address them. We've always said that safety is paramount and that we will never change. The Long Island Railroad will remain vigilant in protecting our customers and employees and remain open to all collaboration toward that common goal. I want to thank the MTA PD and SMART for participating in the ride-along, and I also want to reiterate our full support when it comes to matters of customer and employee safety. With the holiday season now in full gear and temperatures continuing to drop, we have completed our winter season prep work because a snow and ice event can have a devastating effect on service, and we like to be ready long before the first snowflakes start to fall. This annual multidiscipline effort encompasses many tasks, which includes things such as properly staging our equipment and replenishing our salt and sand supplies. We maintain and test critical equipment like our portable generators and fire pumps, in addition to snow fighting equipment from hand tools to on-rail and rubber tire equipment. And we also verify that all command centers are operational. Seasonal testing and maintaining of all switches, third rail heaters, and switch heaters along the right-of-way, in addition to winterizing substations. To test our plan, we conducted an all-party yearly drill of our winter storm operating procedures. And customers at newly remodeled mainline stations between New Hyde Park and Westbury will be happy to know that the heated platforms at those stations are now fully operational. Anthony can relieve this, sigh of relief that I won't be bugging him about it anymore. As you know, October was Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and I'm proud to report that our employees once again went to bat against this horrible disease that affects far too many in our region. On Sunday, October 15th, employees from both Long Island Railroad and Metro North joined others in the MTA family for the 4-mile American Cancer Society Making Strides Against Breast Cancer walk through Central Park, raising thousands of life-supporting dollars in the process. This is yet another example of how the MTA is part of the communities it serves. I would also like to recognize the MTA's Empowering Women in Transit Employee Resource Group for promoting this event. A few weeks after the 1986 Mets ended their title-winning run, John Hyland first hired on the Long Island Railroad as a capital project coordinator. 37 accomplishment-filled years later, and no other World Series, we bid him a fair, fond well as he rides off into the sunset as Executive Director of Penn Station Special Projects, East River Tunnel, and Infrastructure. Over the years, John left his mark on several high-profile projects, such as the West Side Yard overbuild, Moynihan Station, the recent Penn Station improvements, and a host of other joint initiatives with Amtrak. Our system is a much better functioning and better looking place than it was when he started, and that's due in no small part to all of John's hard work. And we thank him and wish him well in his retirement years. And finally, I'd like to end this month's report with a story that really hits home with many at the Long Island Railroad, especially myself. There's a new exhibit at the Riverhead branch of the Railroad Museum of Long Island devoted to the late Raymond Kenny, our beloved former Senior Vice President of Operations and Acting President. If you had the good fortune to have known him or worked with him, then you know why Ray's influence is museum-worthy. Ray was a mentor, friend, leader, and the consummate gentleman. His is a legacy that lasts until this day, one of service and professionalism. Thank you to the Railroad Museum of Long Island for celebrating that legacy and honoring a man all of us cherish and miss dearly. That concludes my report, and I'll answer any questions you may have.
Any questions? Thank you, Rob. Moving on to President Rinaldi's report.
Thank you. As I reported last month, on Saturday, October 21st, a set of tiered retaining walls belonging to a private property in Briarcliff Manor gave way, and the retained soil and other materials buried a portion of our right-of-way along the Hudson Line under several tons of earth, trees, and rock. Through the amazing efforts of Metro North crews, service was restored to the two tracks closest to the river, tracks 2 and 4, in time to accommodate AM peak service on Monday, October 23rd. Together with our outside engineering firm, Metro North and C&D personnel worked closely with the third-party contractors retained by the homeowner to stabilize the slope, which allowed service to be restored on the tracks below. The remaining tracks 1 and 3 remained out for some time, with track 3 getting the worst of it as it was closest to the home. Track 1 was returned to revenue service on the morning of November 3rd, after having served as the continuous work platform for equipment necessary to excavate the material that was on track 3, and I'm happy to report that track 3 was again restored to service on November 22nd. Turning to ridership, October ridership remained strong, and the total ridership of 5.64 million was our best post-pandemic month yet. We also saw several other pandemic-era records broken, including the best 7-day average during the week of October 23rd to October 29th, the best 5-day weekday average that same week, and the final weekend of our popular Leaf Peeper service contributing to our best weekend average on November 4th and 5th. As we all know, sundown unfortunately comes earlier now, making day trips a bit shorter. As such, mid-November produced the expected seasonal lull in weekend ridership before we head into the holidays. However, we did see a bump due to the extra service provided to the Centennial Syracuse pit game at Yankee Stadium on the 11th, and then the following Saturday we carried large numbers of riders to the biennial playing of the Yale-Harvard game at the Yale Bowl. And as a Yale graduate, I am thrilled to report that Yale came out on top, 23-18, depriving Harvard of sole possession of this year's Ivy League title. With strong ridership coming to Manhattan for day trips the following day, holiday leisure travel is definitely revving up. And just a snapshot with respect to how we did over Thanksgiving Day weekend. Overall, Tuesday to Sunday, if you look at that 6-day period, we're up 20.5% over last year. On Black Friday, we were actually up almost 33% over last year. And on the Sunday, when people were coming back home, 24.8% up over last year. So we calculate that we carried 951,000 and change riders in that 6-day period compared to last year's 789,000 riders. So up quite a bit from where we were over the last Thanksgiving long weekend. And talking about the holidays, short of the North Pole, there's no better place to be than Grand Central Terminal during the holidays. And as Rob indicated, on November 13th, I was joined by Rob and by representatives from our lead sponsor, AmericanGreetings.com, as we officially kicked off the annual Grand Central Holiday Fair. It's one of the events that we love most in the terminal. This year, the popular event brings together 36 small businesses and artisan merchants all in one place. The holiday fair is open from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m., except on Sundays when it's open 11 to 6 through Christmas Eve. And all gifts purchased from a Grand Central Terminal tenant are eligible for free gift wrapping in the Biltmore Room, daily from noon to 6, December 8th through the 22nd. I'm also happy to report that for the first time since the pandemic, the Transit Museum's Grand Central Gallery will again be presenting its holiday model train show through February, which is a great way to top off your holiday experience. This is a series that's proven very popular with rail enthusiasts across the region and everybody else that enjoys great design. This month, the third rebranded locomotive in Metro North's Heritage Wrap series made its debut to help celebrate our 40th anniversary. Skilled craft workers at our North White Plains shop applied a vinyl wrap to Locomotive 211, this time paying tribute to the New York Central, which was the predecessor railroad that operated on the Harlem and Hudson lines. The engine embarked from Croton Harmon on November 14th and operated along the Hudson, arriving at Grand Central just before 8:30 a.m. The first rebrand in the series paid homage to Metro North's original design, debuted in May. The second featured a Conrail design and debuted in August. These and the future designs that will have yet to be introduced will remain in service for the foreseeable future. Like on Long Island, we are gearing up for what we hope is going to be a mild winter. Our winter preparedness plan is a comprehensive strategy that combines meticulous decision-making, staffing, and staging to ensure the safety and functionality of our system throughout the winter months. As we gear up to face potential snowstorms, our engineering department, represented here by Mr. Loney, takes a proactive approach to decision-making and command structure assessment. Of course, when we're preparing for big weather events, communication is always the key to success. Whenever we receive a report of an impending snowfall, our MOW leadership team scrutinizes up to the minute and sometimes changing weather data to make sure that our crews are dispatched effectively. They communicate directly with our third-party snow contractors to ensure readiness and know that we ourselves will have to be as flexible as possible with crew assignments to be able to address changing conditions. MOW management personnel are strategically placed in field location as needed, allowing immediate workforce shifts to areas of priority, with any changes affecting train service communicated to the Operations Control Center. Field employees call in to promptly update station and yard conditions and report back on the status of snow-fighting equipment. This all ensures a streamlined flow of information and quick adaptation to evolving circumstances. This winter, as part of a pilot, field crews will report current conditions on a recently developed internal app for quicker, more efficient information sharing and more effective response times. Our MOW snow plan actually begins in the fall of every year. Proactive measures include the testing of more than 200 small snow throwers and blowers, 20 to 25 pieces of heavy equipment for severe snowstorms, and maintaining all other snow fighting equipment. Testing continues throughout winter months. Gangs inspect fences and guardrails for security, while our stations and facilities groups ensure the operational status of our platform amenities, specifically our push-to-heat capability in our platform shelters to keep our customers warm. This multifaceted, multi-departmental approach ensures that our infrastructure, including shops, yards, switches, signals, equipment storage, stations, remains clear and operational throughout any challenging winter conditions that we might experience. Happy to report that we've had a great year with respect to hiring, and we have another job fair coming up just this coming weekend. So skilled tradespeople looking for an exciting and rewarding career at Metro North, we want to hear from them. We're having an open house on December 2nd at our North White Plains location at 525 North Broadway from 10 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. We encourage anyone who's interested to bring their resume to chat with our hiring experts. As the poster says, come join the team that moves millions. November 11th this year fell on a Saturday, so we held our Veterans Day ceremony on Friday the 10th, joined by Randy Glucksman and his family for another year. Thank you, Randy. In the main concourse of GCT. This annual event, and we also drew a lot of Long Island Railroad employees for the first time since they were downstairs. The annual event draws many MTA employees, Long Island Railroad employees, veterans, families, and passersby, and you can really feel the gratitude in the room for the men and women of our armed services. This year, MTA PD Pipe and Drum once again set the atmosphere with their playing, and the police department's own Officer James Volpe again did an amazing job as he delivered his heartfelt renditions of the Star Spangled Banner and God Bless America. It's an event that brings out the patriot in all of us, and I want to again thank the veterans among us, thank the PD for their support, and it was another wonderful event this year. Finally, I'd like to pause a minute to speak about the contributions of a longtime MTA and IT employee. Just a couple weeks ago, we received the tragic news of the passing of Mike Dannenbring, the project manager of Intelligence Systems. Mike was a beloved 26-year member of the Metro-North family who became part of the consolidated IT team. This brilliant yet humble man was instrumental in the development of many of the customer-facing functions that our customers rely on every day. He was referred to by his coworkers at Metro-North as the face of train movement, signage, and the customer experience, as an excellent colleague and an even better friend, and as someone whose work shaped the efficiency of our operations. Mike was a master at developing enhanced data sharing for internal and external use. His pioneering solutions and razor-sharp mind were crucial in the development of the systems we now use every day to count customers, track train movement, buy electronic tickets, manage operations, and display real-time train information on both the Train Time app and at stations across the system, including Grand Central. These are but a few of Mike's many accomplishments over the years. It is no exaggeration to say that he is one of the key figures who brought Metro-North into the 21st century. Mike left us far too soon at the age of 51 after a long battle with cancer. He's survived by his wife Lynn and his children Benjamin and Millie. His longtime friends and colleagues will never forget his warmth, his kindness, and the lasting permanent effect that he had on everyone. And I'd like to ask for a pause right now for a moment of silence in his memory. Thank you. This concludes my report if there's any questions.
Board Member Zuckerman?
Thank you, sir. Kathy, a very good report, and thank you for being back fully focused on Metro-North. We appreciate your support and your leadership. The veterans piece reminds me, I don't know if anyone is from our HR and or diversity teams. Can you just remind us, I'm sure you don't have the number at the top ahead as you have many other numbers, how many veterans we have working in Metro-North?
I think the percentage is 6%, right? Yeah, the percentage is 6%. I can't do the math in my head, but it's roughly 6% of the workforce.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, Kathy. I will never tire of hearing the two words leaf and peeper in the same breath.
Me neither.
But now we're moving to snow blowing, which I could do without. And then we'll have our operations report. We're going to start with Long Island Railroad from Mr. Cost.
Good morning, everyone. Total on-time performance for the month of October was 94.7%, above goal of 94%. And year-to-date, as of October, is 93.9%, below goal of 94%. For the month of October, 6 branches operated at or above goal, and year-to-date, as of October, 5 branches operated at or above goal. For major events which result in 10 or more late trains, there were 12 incidents for the month of October. The most significant event occurred on October 1st, where there was a track condition at Neck 3 interlocking just east of Great Neck Station. This incident resulted in 43 delays, negatively impacting on-time performance by 0.2%. For our fleet performance, the MDBF for the month of September was 179,921 miles, above goal of 170,000 miles. And MDBF year-to-date as of September is 171,356 miles, above goal of 170,000 miles. For service delivery, we completed 99.6% of our trips for the month of October, and we completed 99.6% of our trips year-to-date. For upcoming work that will impact service on the weekends of December 2nd and 3rd, December 9th and 10th, and December 16th and 17th, switch installation in West Side Yard will take place, resulting in Far Rockaway branch trains being diverted to Grand Central Madison each of those weekends for approximately 48 hours. Please check the website and Train Time app for updated schedules. That concludes my report. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions? Dory?
Hi, thank you so much. So, on-time performance both at Long Island Railroad and Metro North, very impressive at 94%. I'm curious, taking a step back on the operation of Long Island Railroad, given all of the major service changes you've had, the schedule changes you've had, what are the operational areas that you're focused on where we can make improvements and where you believe, we need to step it up in this area? And that's my first question.
So some of the areas we're seeing some difficulty with a little bit is our diesel fleet. We had a few issues along the way, some with a fuel pump, some with a water pump. Our mechanical department are working very hard to try and see if during certain inspections they can perform downloads that would potentially figure out what the issue is before it happens. So that's one of the issues that we're really focusing on now on the diesel fleet.
Great, thank you. And is that because of the age of the fleet generally?
The fleet is definitely getting older. The parts eventually get to where they, are done with their useful life cycle. So they're in the process of trying to figure out all the replacement parts for it, but it is something that it will happen as the equipment ages.
Great. No, I appreciate that. So there's been talk, obviously, about Port Washington branch changes to the schedule. I'm curious what additional feedback you're hearing about the Brooklyn shuttle and what's going on. And, we heard some comment today about concern around it. So, just as, I'm sure you're focused and taking good feedback about what's going on with Port Washington, I'd love to, continue to put the focus on Brooklyn. Thank you.
I wouldn't expect anything less, Madoni. No, we continually to focus on it. As you know, for November, we increased the number to 11 through trains. It's becoming a matter of looking at what the through trains are to make sure they're the right trains at the right time. Because we have a finite number of customers that go there. We don't want to provide too much service because we're limited in our rolling stock fleet. But for the morning, we're going to continue to look at it to see what we can adjust and look at, let's say, for instance, the busiest 2 hours, and how can we better utilize our through service within those 2 hours to accommodate the most amount of customers. In addition to that, we're actually looking at the PM as well. We're starting, you've heard me say before, right? We went through an incredible change in our schedule, right? And we don't want to disrupt the service again, so we're making methodical, strategic changes to it as to not disrupt the overall service again. So as we progress, we're looking at the PM and seeing what through trains we can start adding for the PM out of Atlantic Terminal through terminals. It becomes a tricky scenario in Jamaica. That's the whole premise of why Platform F was constructed in the first place. So we're trying to identify key spots and where we'll impact the most amount of customers too. So our planning group is on the platforms looking at transfer rates between trains to identify, because when you look at the loading capacities, it may show a low number of customers, let's say at a Penn Station. However, east of Jamaica, the capacity jumps to like 70%. So maybe that's a candidate to run out of Atlantic Terminal to see where those customers are coming from, if in fact they are coming from there. So there's a lot of observations and data analysis taking place to look at that. But my long-winded point is to start looking at the PM to see how we can incorporate some through trains on the PM.
And I'm curious, what are the 2 busiest hours right now for that shuttle space?
Generally speaking, 6:30 in the morning to 8:30 in the morning.
That's what I had suspected, but so just morning rush.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, as far as the AM. The PM, always, with any rush hour, is always much more spread out. People leave a little early, they stay a little later, but the AM peaks tend to be more concentrated in your ridership.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and I would love to get kind of the latest ridership numbers as well, because we have seen kind of an increase in ridership in that area. So thank you.
To that point, we're actually seeing, lately, we're seeing if it's a trend, where we were around 6,000 customers a day going to Atlantic Terminal. We're seeing, on average, 7,000, a little over 7,000 customers going to Atlantic Terminal, and that coincides with the whole ridership increase as well. So it's nice to see.
Yeah, it is good to see, and this is a really Brooklyn to Long Island, Queens. This is a really critical connection, and so I appreciate it because I know out of 7,000, out of the 200,000, plus folks that you're looking after every day, but this is a population that really matters too. So thank you, appreciate it.
Any other questions for Rob? Thank you, and thank you, Tom. And then moving on to the Metro North Operations Report, Justin.
All right, good morning. The operations report begins on page 26. Our service delivered rate for October was 99.7%. System-wide OTP for October was 97%, above our goal of 94%. Year-to-date OTP was also above goal at 97.5%. There were 6 major incidents that negatively impacted October's OTP. The greatest impact was on October 7th when storms caused multiple trees to be down in the power lines, resulting in a 7-hour loss of signal power to a 5-mile stretch on the New Haven line. This resulted in 55 trains being delayed. Regarding the fleet, the mean distance between failures was just over 271,000 miles in August, above the goal of 175. Year-to-date MDBF also remains above goal at 340,000 miles. That concludes the report unless there's any questions.
Any questions for Justin? Thank you, Justin. Moving on, I have our Long Railroad Safety Report. Lori?
Morning, everyone. So our safety report can be found on page 16 in the book, and we are reporting on our performance through September. Our customer reportable injury rate was 2.6 per 1 million customers served, and our employee injury rate, reportable injury rate, was 4.43 per 200,000 hours worked. I'd like to give a shout out to our Senior Safety Officer, Menzie Woodis, who was instrumental in coordinating our National Escalator Safety Week events. And I'd also like to invite everyone on December 14th to Penn Station as we partner again with New Jersey Transit, New York City Transit, Metro North, and of course our beloved Safety Sam to do our customer safety outreach. So that's going to be at 3 o'clock in Penn Station on December 14th. Happy to answer any questions anyone may have.
Any questions? I did have a thought. It occurred to me that all the accessibility improvements we're doing and this is the second month, I've been seeing all the posters and the emails about escalator safety, is actually, in addition to making all the additional stations more accessible, it's going to make them safer because it's going to keep people off of escalators doing things they shouldn't be doing. So, like the things that a lot of people have already been guilty of, like hauling big luggage and stuff. Use the elevator. Thank you, Lori. And now we'll have the Metro North Safety Report. Shelley?
Okay, good morning, everyone. So Metro North Safety Report can be found on page 30 of the Performance Metrics book. So to summarize where Metro North stands with customer employee injury rates, this compares the rates for the current 12-month reporting period ending September 2023 to the rates for the prior 12 months ending September 2022. The reportable customer injury rate for Metro North decreased from 2.27 to 2.03 per 1 million customers, and the reportable employee lost time injury rate decreased from 2.21 to 2.00 per 200,000 working hours compared to the prior 12 months. Slip, trips, and falls remain the highest category of customer injury, and as Lori mentioned, it remains a focus of our outreach to encourage safe behaviors with our customers. That concludes my report. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Shelley. Any questions? Thank you, Shelley. Seeing none, we'll move on to the MTA Police Report. Chief Mullen?
Yeah, good morning, everyone. For the month of October, across our areas of responsibility, we had 31 major felonies within the system. Again, grand larcenies continue to drive our numbers. 14 of the 31 were grand larcenies, and 12 of those are from the result of unattended property. So we continue to encourage our commuters to make sure they safeguard their property as they use our system. And that is my report, unless you have any other questions.
Questions? Thanks, Chief. Don't bring your luggage onto the escalator and keep an eye on it. Don't walk away. Thank you. And now for agency information items. Rob, can you please take us through the Long Island Railroad information items?
Sure. The Eastside Access Support Projects update is in the book on page 64, and the Winter Track Work Programs is beginning on page 72.
Thank you. Kathy, can you please take us through the Metro North information items?
Sure, there's a chart in the book showing recent license activity within Grand Central Terminal, and that's just an information item.
There's one, I have a text, Co-Chair Lopez has a question.
Thank you. Sammy, good morning, everybody. I'm sorry I couldn't join you this morning. I had a question for the chief, if it's okay, if we could just go back to that. Is there any additional information you can provide to us regarding the incident that occurred? I believe it was the Friday before Halloween at Grand Central Station. There was a peaceful protest around rush hour Friday afternoon. And I'm just a little stunned as to how many people were able to coordinate their activity and kind of suspend the entrance to Grand Central for a couple of hours, and it was a little chaotic. If you had any insight or any information you could provide to us so that this doesn't
Yeah,
occur.
certainly, Commissioner. So that was on October 27th, and that, as the Commissioner says, it was during rush hour, very challenging. It was Jews for Peace, which is an organization, and as the Commissioner said, they're very peaceful. They are more about civil disobedience than anything else. The exercise resulted in 335 arrests, roughly, most of them for disorderly conduct. And, since then, we've had 9 that have affected our properties between Penn and Grand Central. To let everybody know about how this is working, we can never say where they're going to go or when they go there. And, as you would probably imagine, we're not told in advance. And that's what you saw in this past week at the Manhattan Bridge, which was the same organization that tried to shut down and successfully shut down traffic on the Manhattan Bridge. They've been to the Brooklyn Bridge. What I would say to everybody here is the MTA PD is getting better and better at this, how to manage it. I can't say enough about our partners in Metro North Security, Long Island Railroad Security, President Rinaldi and President Free. We're all learning together as far as how we're communicating to be as efficient as we can and find that balance between, managing a protest, which is, I would never say it's a planned protest because, again, we don't know where anybody's going. And the truth is they don't know where they're going sometimes. And so the communication piece is huge. I can't thank the NYPD as much as I can. Chief Kemper has been fantastic. Chief Bodette from the NYPD has been fantastic. And, we're getting better at this. And, again, it's the balance between managing, moving our commuters along on a timely fashion and making sure that everybody is safe and secure.
Thank you, Chief. I appreciate your response.
Thank you. I believe we're on the finance reports, which you will find in the book. Procurements, there are no procurements for either railroads this month. With that, unless there's any questions or other topics to discussion, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Lisa, second. By Midori. So